Hey everyone, this is Helena Hart, and welcome to my live stream with my very good friend and fellow coach, Matt Shaffer. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Helena. It's so great to be back. I've missed you. I've missed partying with you and your tribe.
Yes, it's been a little while, right? And we're so excited for this topic. We actually did a poll over in the community tab on my channel, and this is what you guys wanted to learn the most about, and that is 5 reasons men fall in love. Basically, how men fall in love and how you can inspire that lasting devotion and commitment from the man you want. Matt is the perfect person to be talking about this with. He is an empowerment, connection, and relationship coach who helps women connect deeply to themselves and create the lasting relationship they want from the inside out. How did I do?
You did it perfect. She did it perfect, didn't she? I thought she really nailed my intro right there.
Yeah, we had to practice that one a few times. I'm a little out of it today, but yeah, we're so excited. Let us know all the questions you have in the live chat. We'll get to as many as we can. We're going to try and keep this one a little shorter than usual for you guys. We know it's a little later in the day, but we already have a bunch of people joining. So we're going to do the content portion at the beginning and we'll take your questions at the end. We're so excited to connect with all of you. So Matt, let's just get right into it. Is there anything you want to say before we jump into these 5 reasons men fall in love?
I really do. Do we want to talk about my free gift, about the masterclass?
Yes, let's do that right now. Yeah, Matt is offering a totally brand new free masterclass, right? So yeah, let's tell everyone about that before we get started.
Yes, it's going to be a live course. I'm going to be facilitating a live course with y'all, 5 steps to unlocking love. So basically what I've done is I've taken the most transformational content from my Mastery of Connection course, which has helped over 10,000 women across like 50 countries, including many of amazing ladies from Helena's tribe. And I've recreated like some of the best content from that into a live week-long course. So it's going to be really fun. It's a masterclass. It's totally free for you as a member of Helena's community. And all you have to do is go to the link in the bio. There's going to be a workbook. I'm going to be doing live sessions in there. We're going to have live coaching in the Facebook group. I mean, it's going to be a blast. So you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally 100% free for you guys. Matt is just like the king of over delivering and providing so much amazing, free, valuable content for my community. Like I always said, you were like one of the best things that's happened to my channel, if not the best, sharing your message with my community. I really mean that. I say that to everybody. So you guys are going to love what we're talking about today. I'm just looking at all the comments. We're so excited to have you guys joining. So if you're interested in Matt's totally free, brand new masterclass, click the first link in the description, click the little upside down arrow next to the title of this video. And it's the first link you can click and apply. Totally free. Absolutely. Right?
Oh, and remember, Helena, we had that just a couple days ago. I had a student from my classes message me. She found me through Helena. She did both of my courses, and she just got married. She got rid of her abusive husband, met the love of her life, and got married all within like a year. So like that's amazing. Like, how cool is that, right?
I saw that story. Yeah, go check out Matt's YouTube channel in the community section. I saw that. I totally started crying when I saw the photos and everything. I love hearing stories like that. So yeah, I love it. Everyone go check that out. And it looks like we have a good amount of people joining. If you want to jump into the content for this, Matt, what is that first reason you want to share on how men fall in love?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing we really got to hone in on is the fact, is a basic fact, and this might be a little surprising to you and to a lot of women out there, is that men actually do fall in love. Like we can actually fall in love pretty easily, and we actually fall in love easier and quicker than women on average. Like they've done studies on this where men actually fall in love on average about 88 days after meeting a partner that they really connect with. Whereas with women, it takes up to 134 days. So we actually fall in love a lot quicker when we're in the right space and when we meet the right person. So like I want you to just start off by letting go of that notion or assumption that men don't fall in love or men are incapable of it, right? We really are. It just really depends on honing in on specific things, right? That understandings about a man in order to be able to create that with him. And the first thing is, in order for him to fall in love with you, he needs to feel ready to emotionally invest in someone. And this is something that I know women don't want to hear because they want to think that any man can be ready at any time, right? To fall in love. And I'm not saying that there's not a possibility of being able to, inspire a man to fall in love, but I wouldn't, make that like I would lead with that, right? Men are single focus, right? We are single focused creatures by nature. And oftentimes for a man, like his first priority is his legacy. It's what he's building in his career, in his life. And if his majority of his focus is on that, almost by default, the relationships in his life, the romantic relationships in life, are going to be a second priority to him. So he has to be in a place where he's reached a level in his career or in his personal life, in his personal development, to where he says, okay, I've built something here that's meaningful to me. Now I'm ready to bring somebody into it. You know, like
Absolutely.
Does that
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. It's so important to bring that up. And I know we are going to save questions for the end, but this one is so related to what you just said. So men date women and they're not ready for a relationship or fall in love. You know what? Some men, even if they're not ready for a relationship, like Matt's saying, are happy to spend time with a woman, because men crave feminine energy, right? They crave that companionship or whatever it is that he's getting from you. That's why it's so important to pay attention to these 5 reasons or ways that men fall in love, because just because a man's happy to spend time with you doesn't mean he's necessarily falling in love and moving things forward. That's why what we're going to share in the rest of this video is going to be so crucially important. That's my 2 cents on that. Any thoughts you want to say?
100%. Savannah, you're right. Some man can do that. And so the action step coming out of this, because I want to give you action steps with everything we talk about, is to look for cues when you're getting to know a man. You know, does he speak into the future? Does he talk about, you know, how much he's looking forward to settling down or having a family or doing anything like that? Like, listen to the words coming out of his mouth. If he seems completely incapable of looking at anything past just, you know, the date you're on right now, or he shies away from any talk about the future after you've been dating for a little while, chances are maybe he may not be in a place, or he talks about his work all the time. Like every time you talk about what's going on in his life, all he can talk about is his job or his work or what he's working on. You know, chances are he's not quite there, you know, in his head. So just be aware of that and be conscious of that, because once he is ready, once he does feel grounded in his career and his purpose, he'll be more than happy to emotionally invest in you, right? Because he's ready to, he feels like a king, and now he's ready to, you know, bring in his queen.
Absolutely. And that's when it can happen quickly, right? And then he just knows, oh my gosh, it's the best feeling ever, rather than these guys that are just feel like slippery, like they're just always, their attention's always elsewhere. I know you guys have experienced that, right? Has anyone not experienced that? So we don't want you hanging on to a guy like that, trying to make it work and make him fall in love. That's not what this is about. This is about, you know, kind of internally shifting yourself, so this whole thing is just completely effortless, right? So
exactly, the right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person, and that's okay, because there's plenty of right people out there that are ready. Okay. And you know, I want to move on to number 2, right? So the second step, or the second reason that, you know, a man will fall in love with you, or that he'll really like drop his walls, is that he feels emotionally safe around you, right? Just as you are craving physical safety from a man, like this is fundamentally the interdependence of the masculine and the feminine, right? The feminine is craving physical safety from the masculine, and the masculine, whether they recognize it or not, we're craving emotional safety from the feminine, because emotional agency is not our strong suit. For a lot of us, emotions are a huge vulnerability point and weak point for us. So you have such a sacred space in our life, as you, if you're open to it, right, can be our emotional safe harbor. So the question I want you to ask yourself, right, is, are you open to love? Like, are you open to actually like receiving and sharing love with a man? Because if he doesn't see that, if he's not feeling that from you, he's going to shut down. He's not going to be able to emotionally invest in you. What do you think about that, Helena?
That is so important. This is, absolutely. So there's a little bit of a delay. So if I'm talking too fast or too slow, I think it's just on my end. Usually the replay ends up fine. But what I get from that is like, if a man just comes towards you, then he smacks right up against your walls, there's nothing to compel him to keep coming closer, right? He might, be happy to sleep with you, or get, he might be physically attracted to you, but a man has to be deeply emotionally attracted and bonded to you in order to truly fall in love and want to commit, right? And I've just found that to be so true. If you can be that one person that's that safe space in a man's life, he's just not going to be able to get enough of you. I think I heard you talking in a video recently, Matt, about how men don't really have that in their other relationships with friends or family members typically in their life, right?
No, we don't. I mean, think about it. When men are hanging out with their buddies, we're not sitting there being like, bro, what are you feeling right now? What's going on in your heart? You know, like guys, we don't have those conversations. And
Right.
once we get out of, you know, childhood, we no longer have a lot of those emotional conversations with our parents, if we ever did. You know, so we basically lose any emotional outlet as we become adult men. Our feelings are labeled as liabilities because you can't be all mushy gushy and in your heart while you're trying to, you know, create your empire at work, right? That's a weakness. And so like you can be that person for him. You can be that way to like for him to actually release all these suppressed feelings, and he's going to absolutely love and adore you if you're able to do that. And so step one in this, right, is don't be hard to be loved, right? Be open with him about your own feelings. Lead by example. I talk a lot about the woman, right, being the conductor, being the emotional and communicative conductor, right, of the relationship. And so one of the greatest ways that you can be the conductor and get him to like be loving towards you is to be loving towards him, right? Express your emotions to him. Demonstrate what it looks and feels like to be emotionally open in partnership. And he's going to see that, and he's going to start to realize, oh, this is normal. It's normal to be this way, you know? And that might be hard for a man at first, especially if he was in relationships before where men were not, or where women were not open to him, or he may have trauma. You know what I'm saying? So. I know it, and I know it can be scary, right?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. You read my mind. Yeah. I think I heard you, I was like stalking your YouTube channel, Matt, before this to prepare, just kind of get a sense for some of your ideas, and I loved all of them. You were saying in a video that you have to risk something. I think you said that women come to you and they say, how do I open myself up to a relationship, but never risk getting hurt? And that's that piece, right? And so you have to be open to be vulnerable. And there is some risk associated with that. But if you feel strong and secure within yourself, you're just going to trust that the right man is going to see you and want that relationship with you. And if he doesn't want that, he just can't possibly be the right guy, right?
Yeah, it's a perfect filter, right? Your conscious vulnerability is a wonderful filter for men who are either unwilling or unable to meet you there, right? So like you can't have your cake and eat it too, though. You can't be like, well, I want a guy to fall in love with me, but I don't want to risk getting hurt. Like,
or ever be vulnerable. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like, I want to own a Tesla, but I don't want to triple my car payment. But bottom line is, if I own a Tesla, I'm going to have to pay some more money. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's the same thing where like, we can't have our cake and eat it too. There's going to be a risk involved in this, but it's actually going to help you grow and become an even greater, more courageous version of yourself, right? That whole process of becoming more open and more vulnerable. And
it's so true.
It's essential.
It's so true. Yeah. You want a man who is drawn to you when you are open and warm and vulnerable. I keep getting these comments on my channel lately where they say the man that they're dating or their man they're only attracted to her and chasing her when she's cold and ignores him. I would say that's one of the biggest red flags there is, right? You want a man who's into you when you are open and warm and vulnerable, being your most authentic self. So important. I don't want to skip ahead. Are you ready for that next reason? Or is there anything else you want to say here?
Absolutely. Well, just the only other thing I want to say on this is, in addition to like leading by example and doing this, is that you got to remember that men are baby giraffes when it comes to emotional vulnerability. Like, you know, when a baby giraffe comes out and it's just wobbling around all awkwardly and stuff after it's born, like that's how we feel when we're trying to be vulnerable. So once you make him feel safe and he starts trying to express feelings, even if he says, I feel not good, you know, and that's like as deep as he goes with it, you want to praise him for any attempt he makes at emotional vulnerability, even if those feelings are maybe a little challenging to you, right? Don't take it personally if his emotional vulnerability maybe includes something that's a little challenging or triggering for you, because one of the greatest ways that you can get a man to shut down emotionally is by getting triggered by his vulnerability. Like, even if he says something you did bothers him, that's okay, right? Better that he express those feelings to you so you guys can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful to not get triggered, or do your best to not lash out or get defensive with him if he is vulnerable. Praise him and acknowledge him and thank him for being open with you, and invite him to share more and talk it out with him. That's how you create an emotionally safe container, relational container with a man. So that's just, I think that's an important thing I had to mention within this. spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not about coddling a man's feelings. I see that comment in there, right? Anything you want to say on that? It's not about just being, his mother. That's actually the worst thing you could probably do.
Literally
Right? Any thoughts for women who go, oh, so why do we have to just take care of men and have it be all about them? Because that's a very common misconception.
Yeah. So it's not about coddling him or just enabling him or just like putting him in a bubble, right? This is about both of you being courageous enough to be able to share both, positive, loving feelings and also confrontive feelings with each other without it devolving into like fighting, right? Mm-hmm. Fighting and defensiveness, right? Because one of the greatest ways that the masculine and the feminine can help each other in a relationship is by healing trauma. And it's and that only happens when both partners commit to being vulnerable. So you're not coddling his feelings, but you're letting him know, no matter what your feelings are, it's safe for you to express them to me. I'm not going to punish you for sharing what's in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the sort of feeling, like, because I know for me in my own relationships, right? I speak about this very personally because for a lot of my life, I grew up in a family where, like my parents had an agreement not to ever argue in front of me and my sister. So I grew up not understanding that men and women had confrontation in relationship. So when I started getting into my own relationships and my partner wanted to, confront me about anything, I freaked out because I'm like, well, this isn't allowed. This isn't what people do. Mm-hmm. So like, it actually was really challenging for me in my first relationships to actually be vulnerable because I didn't know that confrontation was allowed. So you want to let him know, that just because you two have a disagreement or, he's sharing feelings that maybe you don't like, that you're not going to blast him for that. Because if you do that, he's going to shut down and he's not going to feel safe to share any feelings with you. And that's not what you want. Right. Yeah, totally. If you want to create a healthy relationship.
Just like you want someone who's not going to take everything you say personally and shut down on you when you express yourself. A lot of these go both ways, don't they? Yeah.
And okay. It's all bilateral. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I don't know if you can see these comments, but this is totally resonating with everybody. So what's that next reason? This is phenomenal so far, Matt. I'm loving this.
Okay, so the third reason that men fall in love, and I cannot overemphasize how important this is that he truly feels that he can relax and be himself around you. Mm-hmm. And I cannot overemphasize how important this is because a lot of times men feel that their true self, their authentic self, is in some way offensive or not enough for women. And in the courtship phase, like a lot of men will put on this huge display, right, of, this polished version, this elevated version of themselves, because they want to woo their partner. But a lot of that can sometimes come from a space of insecurity and even a space of maybe a little bit of shame around their true self, right? So when a man actually decides he can fall in love with somebody is a lot of times when he recognizes that she sees and understands and appreciates and loves who he truly is, like who the uglier, more rough version of him is, that part of him that maybe he's hidden from other people. So just know that just as much as women have that not enough conversation, that I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm too old, I'm too whatever. I know women have those conversations. I work with thousands of women around the world, right? I hear them all the time. Like men have those conversations too. Yeah. I'm not rich enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not smart enough, I haven't done enough with my life. We have those conversations too. So just like be conscious of the fact that like you get to, if you want to, really like have a man fall in love with you, he needs to see and understand and feel that you see and celebrate who he truly is. And that way he can just relax and just be himself and not put on a show.
Yeah, so important. And I think feeling accepted, right? Like when a man feels that you accept yourself, you love and accept yourself, you feel safe with yourself, that's how he knows you're going to accept him and he can be himself and open up. And that's the turning point I've seen in so many women that I've worked with and who amazing women here in my community. That turning point is when a man feels like he can be vulnerable and be himself and he's accepted for it and not like, he doesn't feel like I have to like put on a show constantly. You're that safe space where he can relax and be himself because he's out there kind of performing all day long at work or maybe in some of his other friendships, right? So yeah, that makes you irreplaceable. I mean, truly, like a man will never want to let you go if you can be that one person in his life, right? Of course, you want to be doing this with a man who is reliable and dependable. It's not about just accepting unacceptable behavior. Super important. But
Of course not. Yeah, it's again, this is all goes back to being reasonable with each other, and but just so how do you do this, right? How do you demonstrate to a man, because it's not so you don't want to just tell him so you can relax and be your authentic self around me. Like, you don't tell him that, like that would be weird.
Right.
But you want to let him know, you want to demonstrate to him that you're cool and that you're actually curious about who he is behind that polished facade, right? So one of the ways to do that is specifically celebrate his quirks or his weirdness. Like, let him know that like you love that he snorts when he laughs, or the fact that he sucks at cooking is something that you actually think is cute, right? And the fact that you're willing to try is wonderful. Like just anything that he might feel like insecure about, or he might have some shame around, or whatever. When he does it, just let him know that you think it's great or it's endearing. I mean, like that helps a man start to realize, oh, okay, like he's somebody I can relax and be myself around.
Totally.
And also, within that, you want to comfort and support him, especially during his failures and his hardships and his tough times, right? Because a lot of men have this story that women are attractive and drawn to a man who is successful. And so we have to be successful all the time because that's a fundamental element of your attraction to us. That's a story that a lot of men have been conditioned to believe, right? And so like, if you can demonstrate that you're still attracted to him, you still love him, you're still there for him, you still believe in him when he's failing or struggling or, feeling down on himself, there are few things that are going to make you earn a man's loyalty and love more than that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, that is so true. Just like, everyone imagine exposing something you feel embarrassed or ashamed of and having a man just love you for it. Like, that is the best feeling in the world. So that's another one that goes both ways too. So amazing. I'm loving all your comments. I feel like you guys are just like my family. I love getting together like this. We got to do more live streams. We're going to do another one in about 2 weeks too. So with Matt, so stay tuned for that. This is so great. Such important information. What's the next thing you have for us?
Okay, so this next one, another reason that a man, really starts to believe that he can love you and that he can see himself being with you in a long time is he develops a deep belief, a deep innate understanding that he can make you happy. He fully believes that he, just the way he is, in who he is in this moment, can make you happy. Like, he doesn't have to become some different version of himself. And that's what happens. That's the problem with falling in love with a man's potential. Right? Because if you fall in love with the man that you hope your man will turn into, and he feels that you're wanting him, that you're investing in you're basically trying to flip a dilapidated house, and you're investing in a fixer upper, and that you don't accept him for who he is right now. Like, he understands that who he is can't make you happy. And that's devastating for a man. That's going to make a man shut down. So like, we can create a narrative that we're incapable of making you happy long term, which will then allow us to talk ourselves out of emotional investment in you, especially if we've had relationship trauma in the past, especially if if we have deep insecurities around that. So you want to do what you can to help him understand and believe that who he is right now in this moment in the relationship is something that really lights you up and makes you happy.
Yeah, love that. So important. And that has to be true. Absolutely authentic, right? You can't just be faking it. If you don't respect and admire the man you're with, probably not a good guy to be with, right? Because he can feel that. I love how you talk about these things. Like, you can't just tell him. I get questions all the time. Well, can you just tell him that? He has to feel it from you. And if he feels it from you, you don't have to say anything, because men pick up on your energy and your vibe, whether or not there's a disconnect or an incongruence there. So super important. Yeah,
exactly. And so in the actions or the how-tos around this one, right, are you acknowledging him with positive feeling statements for what he's doing, for how he's being right now? Like, I feel so safe when you hold me in your arms, after a long day at work. Or I love the way I can always talk to you, no matter what's going on in my life, right? Like, rewarding him with positive feeling statements in the moment for who he's being and how he's showing up for you is a great way to help him understand that what he does and who he is makes you happy. We are not mind readers, ladies. We don't know We really don't. It's up to you if you want us to really drop in and, you know, connect with you and fall in love with you in a deep way. Like, help us understand that who we are is enough for you,
Mhm.
and that it really lights you up and makes you happy. That's like the foundation of connection, you know. And like Duke says down here, not all men can pick up on vibe and energy. Sometimes men are slightly dumb and you need to give statements. Exactly.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and that's not dumb. That's just, we're different people, you know, and
Mhm.
we don't know you the same way that you know yourself, you know. So just
Yeah.
throw us a bone. Throw us a bone.
I love it. Love that so much. Yeah. When a man starts to feel like whatever he does is never enough, he can never make you happy. It's like just he can never do anything right. That's really dangerous territory. Just like you said, Matt, he'll talk himself out of emotionally investing because often men, certain kinds of men especially, just default into not having to be emotionally vulnerable and invested in somebody. So this is
Oh
all
yeah.
so important. So important.
It is, exactly. And you know, and we unpack a lot of this in the masterclass. Like we're gonna be doing a lot of this in the live workshop. We're gonna be unpacking like the deeper reasons that men and women don't connect and getting to the bottom of it. So if you haven't signed up yet, take a second, go down to the description, sign up, apply to be a part of this class. It's free for Helena's tribe, and it's going to be an incredible week-long experience. I guarantee you. It's part of my $2,000 course. You do not want to miss it. It's going to
Yes,
be
totally free for you guys. And it starts October 14th, right? What if someone's
14.
watching this? If someone's watching after October 14th, I know I'm going to get questions in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Can they email you? Can they still apply for the next round?
They can still apply. They'll be put on
Okay.
the wait list. They'll put on the wait list for my next launch, or there'll be a great opportunity available, whether it's my
Yeah.
next launch or a membership site. I'm always giving lots of great
Yeah.
dates, but you
I know
definitely don't want to
yeah.
miss this. We're like 9 days out, 10 days out from the party, and yeah, you definitely want to be a
Yeah.
part of
And it's going to
it.
fill up fast. It may even fill up by the end of the day or the weekend. So Tris, go apply. If you can still apply, you can still get a spot in the course for free, right? So first link in the description. Yeah. Okay. What else do you got for us, Matt? I'm like loving this conversation.
This last one is kind of a catch-all, but it's super duper duper important.
Mhm.
Is that a man will fall in love with you. A man will, you know, be like, oh my gosh, like this woman is someone that I really think I can spend the rest of my life with if you fit well into his current life.
Mhm.
You fit well into his
Mhm.
current life, because men are always gauging this. We're evaluating this from the moment that we meet you, from the moment that we start talking to you. We're evaluating to see if you're a good fit with us, if you're somebody that's going to get along with our friends, if you're someone that is congruent with our life, right? Because we don't want to be trying to force and jam someone into our life if it doesn't naturally just flow and fit. So there's a lot of different little parameters that I'm happy to break down on what that looks and feels like. But as somebody who has recently found amazing love, Helena, in your own life, which I'm so happy for you with that. Does that resonate? Is that something that makes sense? Like, didn't
Totally.
you and your ripped, beautiful man, like you two, didn't you all just fit, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally. We just did a trip meeting, both of our respective families, and it was actually like amazing how just easy and natural it was. Really, everything you're sharing is so right on. I cannot tell you guys how true all of these secrets are that Matt's sharing. Like, I'm just wanting to go, yes. And I have so many personal examples and stories I want to share. We did say we wanted to keep this to 30 minutes and we're coming down at the end, but yes. So true. So true. We'll take a couple questions to you guys, but join Matt's course. Everyone's real interested in the course. So go join now, because this is the first time we're talking about this and sharing this. I know it's going to fill up really fast. So yeah, definitely go check that out. I think I clicked on the wrong one there, but anyway, let's recap those 5 and I'll scroll up and look for some questions. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. And just final little action points around how to evaluate if you fit well into his life. Step 1 is, or one of the keys is, do you get along well with his family and friends? When you're with somebody and you have that natural congruency, when you meet his family, when you meet his friends, it's going to feel like you already know them. There's going to be like a sense of familiarity because he's so in alignment with them, and then you're so in alignment with him. And so there's like, it's just congruency. So when you meet his family, there's familiarity there. So you'll flow. It'll go great, right? Maybe they'll even know about you already, because if you did well, if you're really landing with him, he's already told his friends and family about you, and he's excited to meet you. And of course, your lifestyles have to match up well, right? So if you're a night owl and he's a 4 a.m. early bird, that's going to cause problems. You know what I'm saying? If he's a hardcore vegan and you love bacon 3 times a week, again, there's going to be issues. I know friends of mine that have had to break up with partners because of their diets just couldn't live with the person because the diets were too separate. And then, the last and probably the most important thing is you have congruent beliefs and communication styles, right? So, like not to say you have to have the same faith, but similar values is really important. You have to be able to just get along with people. Like I dated a girl once who I had great conversation with. I had great chemistry with her at one level, but she had and I was very attracted to her, but she had zero spirituality. Zero spirituality. Touch was not a big love language for her at all, right? And she had a ton of masculine energy. And so even though I had a great deal of attraction for her at one level and our intellectual connection was great, I couldn't date her because there was too many other incongruences between us, so it's just important. And don't try to force it, ladies. Don't try to force it. If all these things aren't lining up, just please, Kayla gets it. Kayla gets it, that she just experienced this firsthand. Don't try to put a square peg into a round hole, because when you do that, you're coming from a space of scarcity. You're doing that because you've made up a story that this person, because he likes you, you have to force it and make it work, because who knows if somebody else is going to like you the same way that he does or love you the same way that he does.
Great.
There's always more incredible, high value men out there. I promise you. I guarantee it.
Yes. Okay, I scrolled up as far as I could. If you asked a question towards the beginning, it's kind of disappearing on me. So we're just going to take a couple. When does someone know they're in love? Is it the continual mutual commitment? Any thoughts on that? How does a woman know when she's doing this correctly from a man's perspective? I would love to hear that.
I think one of the greatest, I love that question. I think one of the most important things that a man will demonstrate when a man is in love is a really deep, consistent behavior. Like he's going to consistently show up. And I'm sure you've experienced this, Helena, with this guy, because I know in your past relationships, one of the biggest things you were struggling with or dealing with was that men were being inconsistent. They were in and out. They were flaky.
Unavailable.
Emotionally unavailable. But when a man is all in, and she's living this right now, and she's loving it, I can tell, right? It's a man. It's not even a question. He's consistently showing up. He's always there. He's willing to stand in the fire of your ebbs and flows, and it doesn't wobble him.
So true. The thought of him ever getting distant or pulling away, it's laughable. It's not even in my consciousness. It's be what? He's just so there, so stable, so consistent. And that's what I want for everyone here. Now that kind of guy might not light your fire if you're caught in the throes of being attached to an emotionally unavailable guy or roller coaster drop off guy, back and forth, hot and cold guy. But
if you're caught in the anxious avoidant trap. Basically,
right. And if that's something you can relate to, I'm seeing some comments here. Definitely join Matt's free course, because I know you've helped so many women in that situation too, right?
I have helped a lot of women heal anxious attachment style. I've helped a lot of women. My courses and the work we do deep inner work. This relationship masterclass we're going to be doing, this love masterclass, is all about really helping you transition and become ready and magnetic to love from the inside out. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's about unlocking love from the inside out. So definitely take a second and sign up, because this is the most powerful content from my $2,000 course. So
totally free for you guys. First link in the description. I also threw it in the comments. What about this one? Do men crave emotional safety if they grew up without it, or are they afraid of it? Great question.
It depends. Men, if they grew up with emotional safety, then that's something that they're just used to, and maybe they're going to crave it, or maybe they just assume that that's what women do. So they're just expecting it, but for a man who didn't experience emotional safety in his life, it could have gone either way, right? Sometimes a man doesn't experience emotional safety. He maybe experiences some emotional abuse in his life, and because of that trauma, he particularly cherishes and appreciates emotional safety, and he wants it a lot. Or he could create another trauma. People can react to trauma different ways. He might have, because of that emotional withholding that he had in his childhood, he might find emotions to be very scary, right? Because he didn't have any experience. He was never emotionally safe growing up. So in that space, he might be very afraid of emotional vulnerability. And that's going to be a huge opportunity for you through your own conscious, deliberate vulnerability to help him heal that wound, to help him address it. Because when you're emotionally vulnerable with him, it will trigger those wounds for him big time. And you'll get an opportunity at that point to experience whatever is coming up with him. He might get defensive, he might shut down, he might lash out, who knows? And instead of taking it personally, hold space for him to let it out, and then, start healing that wound with him. So it could go either way.
So true. Yes. For the 200 people watching live, don't forget to like the video, show us some love. Thanks for being here. My hair keeps getting caught in my eyelashes. It's driving me nuts. This is not my day. Okay, here we go. He said he loves me, but I feel like his words contradict his actions. Can't communicate right. Just went silent on me. Yeah. Watch his actions. If the words and actions contradict each other, watch his actions, right? Unless he's flat out telling you he's not ready for a relationship, then listen to his words. Basically, pay attention to the worst one, right? If they don't match up. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
When people show you who they are, believe them. I think that's my aunt who said that. And that's something that, my mom told me when I was very young, and it stayed with me, right? People's actions are much greater communicators of whatever their inner space than the words coming out of their mouth, but and you have an opportunity, right? If his actions and his words are not congruent with each other, to ask him, be like, hey, so I'm noticing that you're saying one thing and doing another, and I'm curious, like, what's up with that? Totally. Rather than just, bail on him, just be like, so you tell me you love me, but then when I text you, you don't respond for like a day and a half. When you do that, the story I make up about it is that, I'm not safe, or that I'm not a priority to you. And I'd love for us to talk about that, because to me, love means consistent, present connection.
Yeah, so great. Along those same lines, there's a lot of similar questions. Beth had a great one, very similar to this one, Emily. Like, what happens if Emily's saying guy she's dating hasn't messaged her in a day after messaging daily? Should I check on him and create space for him? He has a high pressure job, or do I just lean back? With so many questions just like this. So I'd love to give just kind of an all encompassing answer to these. Like, what do I do? Do I lean back? Do I contact him? These kinds of questions.
And I find that there's like, and this is the thing, I know that, leaning back is like biblical truth, right? For a lot of ladies out there in this area. And I get it. And I do agree. Like, if a man is busy, if a man has a high pressure job and legitimately, has a lot on his plate, like, he might not always be totally present to you. Remember, men are single focus, so lean back, give him space, right? Men are like bread. They need space to rise. So you have a great connection with him. Trust in that connection, right? Send him a message and give him some space. And then if a weird amount of time goes by and you haven't heard from him, and you're used to hearing from him on a regular basis, you can ping him again. You can text him again. It's not going to like blow up the relationship if after a couple of days you text him again. Like, don't be afraid to do that. I think some women get so preoccupied with leaning back that they end up like leaning back and putting themselves on an island.
True. Yeah. I just did a couple last 2 live streams, I think, were on that very same topic. It's basically, it's all about where you're coming from. If you're going to be devastated if you don't get the response you're hoping for in the timeline that you have, right, that's a clue that maybe you're a little too focused on this guy right now. Time to lean back, focus on yourself and your own life. But if you're not attached to the outcome, you can do anything. That's the great thing about this work. You can do whatever you want. If you know a guy's crazy about you, oh my gosh, you should see like some of the earlier text messages from me and Tom. Like, I texted him multiple times in a row, lots of cat photos. Like, I knew he was crazy about me. I knew he was not going anywhere. So I could do whatever I wanted, right? That's what I want for everyone. You just know you're so confident in a man's interest or love for you that you can do whatever you want. That's the best thing about this work. But when in doubt, if you're feeling anxious or insecure, that's when leaning back can be helpful to experience a man's energy coming towards you. So hopefully that clarified it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, we are 10 minutes over. Do you want to take like another question or two? If we skipped
Sure.
them, it's just because they keep disappearing over on this end. So just let us know down below once this posts. We can go in and answer some questions. Okay. What does if I have a feeling? Let's see. It was when I asked him what kind of relationship we had. Where was your first one? Okay. What does if I don't have a feeling, we won't have this conversation? I'm not quite sure what you're asking here.
I think what she might be asking there is a lot of times, like a woman will want a man to share what he's feeling, right? And a man will say, "Well, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love you." You know, a man will say, like, "Well, I wouldn't be talking to you about this stuff if I didn't love you. Like, why can't you just believe my actions?" You know, because and that could come down to a love language issue, right? Where if a man's love language isn't words of affirmation, if a man's love language isn't, you know, like if he's not good or comfortable physically expressing the way he feels, you know, one of his love languages might be acts of service. So again, this also goes down to the fifth point that I made, right? Around, do you fit with each other? Right. And love languages are a huge component of that, and attachment style are a huge component of that. So like if he's incapable of saying I love you, or of talking about his, you know, feelings, and you need to hear that, you know, just being in that relationship is going to be like you're in the desert, you know, getting suffocated.
Yeah, totally. Okay, last group of questions. I'm scrolling through trying to like categorize them. Last group I see, here's an example from Nancy. Can things be turned around? She says, I have an anxious attachment style. I push for exclusivity. Now I'm giving him plenty of space. Can I turn things around? We're very compatible. I saw so many questions in the chat just now about this very same thing. So I would say, yeah, absolutely. Things can be turned around. What are your thoughts, Matt?
I've had many clients and students from my courses. I've seen them transition after the deep inner work that we do in this work, which we're going to be doing in this masterclass that starts on the 14th. After they do this inner work and they start healing from within, right? They can shift and transition from anxious to secure attachment style. It's what happened to me as I did this work myself.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to spend my life doing this coaching, right?
Yeah.
Is in sharing this stuff with the world, because I feel like it saved my life.
Yeah.
And so attachment style is not a static fixed thing. It can be changed. But the thing is, it takes work. It takes being willing to do the work. And so a lot of times ladies with anxious attachment style are able to do the work because they want to transition.
Yeah.
The trickier part is if you're in an anxious avoidant trap with an avoidant partner, getting him to do the work can be a lot more challenging. So yeah. I invite you, you know, to commit to transitioning yourself from anxious to secure, because then a secure partner and avoidant partner, that relationship can work, right? Because you're not going to be bothered by the fact that he's only able to give you so much. But you have to ask yourself, as a secure person, as a secure attachment style partner, do you want to be in relationship with somebody who's unwilling or unable to meet your needs for intimacy, right? Who just doesn't have the same capacity for intimacy that you do. And once you're secure, you're not even going to want to be with that person anyway, because you're going to be like, well, I could not have this person and I can find somebody else, you know? But just know that Nancy, you can turn it around. This can shift, but I would say giving him plenty of space and working on yourself and just getting grounded in your own value, right? And giving him the opportunity to move forward with you and just see how he shows up. You know, remember, you're the prize. Like, you're the prize, and he gets to demonstrate that he's ready for you, not the other way around.
Yeah, so true. So true. A quick answer here for Cynthia. What do you do when it's all one-sided? He doesn't seem that into you. Drop him, move on, get rid of him. Right?
It's not worth the time. If you're doing all the pushing, the polarity's all jacked up.
Exactly. And I just want to mention, Matt and I recorded a video a while back on body language. I think it's called Make Him Want You Without Saying a Word. Matt talks a lot about eye contact. It's a shorter video. If you want to go check that one out, I would recommend for your situation. I don't know why this is... There must be a little bit of a delay, but I can't get that comment off the screen. We'll see what happens. Everything is technically really strange on my end today. I don't know what's going on. Oh, you do? Oh, there we go. Okay. I think there's just a delay on my end if I'm taking a second to answer and stuff. Things are just a little strange. But all right, this is great. We're only about 15 minutes over. Not bad for us, right, Matt? So
We got like an hour and a
let's
half.
tell everyone one more time. Exactly. If we missed your question, put it in the comment section, and Matt and I, if you have a minute, we can go answer. But definitely go join the free masterclass, because they're going to be able to get all their questions answered by you during that week, right?
I'm going to be doing live teaching sessions in the group, I'm going to be doing Q&A in the group in these sessions, and we're going to be doing deep work around how you love, how you connect with men, and really helping you transform the way that you connect and love from the inside out. So by the end of this class, you will experience significant growth and understanding and ability to attract love into your life. I mean, this is like the work that I've committed my life to. I've got thousands of women around the world that have had remarkable transformations, and I'd love for you to become part of it. So yeah, sign up at the link, and it's going to be a free week-long, like, awesome adventure with lots of with a workbook, with lots of cool exercises to do, and live sessions with me. So definitely check it out, 10/14. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing it in this format again. So this might be like the only time that I'm going to do this particular type of launch. So.
I see like 10, 12 people have just said they've already signed up. So yes, I know this is going to fill up really fast. I'm going to get a bunch of emails, but if you're able to apply, you're able to join the course, I believe, right? So just click the link. Don't wait on this, because these things tend to fill up really quickly, especially with you, Matt, because you're a total favorite. And let's see. We're also going to be doing another live stream in a couple weeks too. So if you guys have topic suggestions for us, let us know down below in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Feel free to share it too for anyone, share this video with anyone who could benefit. We all know women who are struggling in their love life and could benefit from a free course like this. So thank you guys so much, Matt. This was amazing. Thank you so much again.
Always so much fun, Helena. I'm so happy to be able to do another one of these fun lives with you. So it's such a great tribe.
Yes, thank you for staying a little over too. This was amazing. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will talk to you again very soon.
Talk to you later.